The Employee Free Choice Act is going to restore balance by making it possible for workers to make a choice about forming unions, and so being able to bargain with their employers about wages and benefits. You know, workers that have unions earn 30% higher wages. They're 59% more likely to have health care coverage provided by their employer, and that's why there's majority support for the Employee Free Choice Act.
Now, we have been discussing this and had on our program a couple of days ago Ernest Istuk, and he is with a group that represents the business interests and presented the views of business leaders. We're going to take a look at that clip and then get your response.
Okay.
I think it is wrong for the U.S. Congress to say we are going to create a mechanism whereby people can take away your right to have a secret ballot when you're voting on union representation matters. Whether he joins a union or does not join a union isn't really the issue. It's the fact that he should be free from coercion, he should be free from intimidation. No matter what somebody may try to do to pressure him, he still has the final say. When he marks that ballot and nobody else is around, nobody knows if he votes one way or votes the other way. That's the protection that we're concerned about. It's not the question of are you pro-labor or pro-management. The question is, are you in favor of protecting and guaranteeing the right by secret ballot?
Mary Beth Maxwell.
Well, their argument simply is not true. And spending millions of dollars in misleading attack ads, saying it over and over and over again, doesn't make it true. The Employee Free Choice Act gives workers a choice. It lets workers, not employers, decide how they will form their union, and they can form a union through a majority of workers signing cards or for asking for an election, but it gives the choice to the workers.
So what would be, so it's not necessarily your organization's stand that opposes a secret ballot?
Now, we believe that workers should have a choice about forming a union. And, you know, over the past 5 years, 500,000 workers have successfully formed unions through majority sign-up. It's a perfectly legitimate, perfectly legal way of forming a union. It's been used for decades. More and more workers are choosing it because it works better for them. But at the end of the day, workers should get to make that choice.
Explain to us what the American Rights at Work organization is.
American Rights at Work is a nonprofit advocacy organization that was founded 5 years ago to educate the American people about the crisis we have in workers' rights and to advocate for sound new policies to support and defend workers' rights.
And where does the funding come to support the organization?
From a wide variety of sources, from individuals, from foundations, from labor unions.
We're talking about union organizing with Mary Beth Maxwell of American Rights at Work, and if you'd like to get involved in the conversation, the number's on the screen. For Democrats, 202-737-0002. For Republicans, 202-737-0001. Independents, 202-628-0205. And a reminder, if you've called within the last 30 days, today would be the day for you to write us an email and let some other folks get a chance to get their calls in. The email address is journal@cspan.org. Our first call comes from Orlando, Florida. On our line for Democrats, you're on the Washington Journal with Mary Beth Maxwell.
Yeah, good morning. I'm just so you know, I'm a union member and a union officer. I'm an IATSE Local 835 in Orlando. And what the general public may not understand is that when people go to organize in unions, there are law firms that specialize in eradicating union, the attempt to organize unions, and they will harass, fire the people that attempt to organize unions. And what happens? The argument is that, well, you know, they can be sued in a court of law, and they'll have to do all the back pay, and it's illegal for companies to do that. The companies see that as the cost of doing business. And, you know, if I get fired for attempting to organize a union, I don't have the money to go and live for 5 years while a lawsuit's resolved. I don't have the money to live on. And then if I do win down the road, anything I've earned in the meantime is subtracted from the settlement. So what penalty is there? And, you know, I've actually been lost jobs because I've advocated unionism, and you know the corporate cultures that you know even we deal with are so heavily anti-union that people learn to be quiet, not say anything, and go along to get along, unfortunately, and, you know, everybody suffers.
Orlando, thanks for your call.
You are exactly right. That's exactly the problem that the Employee Free Choice Act is going to fix. You know, right now, when workers try to form unions, they are intimidated and harassed and even fired for forming unions. In 25% of organizing campaigns, employers illegally fire workers. And the Employee Free Choice Act is going to fix that. It says that there should be real penalties when employers unlawfully violate workers' rights and break the law.
Phillipsburg, Mississippi on our line for Republicans. I'm sorry, Phillipsburg, Kansas. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask a very straightforward question and I get a yes or no answer. And that would be that at the bottom line of this act, it seems that everyone is primarily concerned about whether or not the secret part of the ballot will be protected. And I just simply want a yes or no answer. Will it be protected?
The Employee Free Choice Act gives workers the choice about how they're going to form a union. And if they want to have a secret ballot election under the Employee Free Choice Act, they will.
Middletown, New Jersey on our line for independence here on the Washington Journal.
Yes, I agree with the the Free Choice Act and organizing, but as a union member, I've seen a downside to that, which is that after a group or a shop organizes their members to come into our union, oftentimes the shop doesn't stay. The owner will stay for a short time, 6 months. Now he'll pull out with his work and leave those men in our union. And now we're stuck with the extra members in the union and less work.
Which union are you with, sir?
Local 3, IBEW, New York City.
And you've seen this happening in your own local?
Yes, I have.
You know, another thing that we see, I totally understand your concern, and another thing that we see happen a lot of times in the course of organizing campaigns is employers threaten workers. And they say, well, you know, yes, it's supposed to be your democratic right to make a choice about this union, but if there is a union, we may pack up and move these jobs overseas. Now, it's illegal for them to do that. In 50% of organizing campaigns, they make that threat. Although in reality, in only 1 to 2% of workplaces is that what happens as a result of workers voting for a union. And I think that that's really unfair intimidation and harassment of workers.
What would be the advantage to having the organization of a union done out in the open or done in public, where later on down the line someone might get targeted because they were in support of that, as opposed to having a secret ballot where a person can go in to a voting booth and make their choice and not have it broadcast or published as to how they voted in this issue?
Well, this is part of the fallacy that opposition to the Employee Free Choice Act is promoting, because right now what workers are experiencing is incredible intimidation and harassment. And the notion that their support for the union, you know, is secret or not known to their employer is a complete fallacy. In 90% of organizing campaigns right now, what workers are forced to do is have one-on-one anti-union meetings with their own supervisor, you know, with their own boss, talking to them about how they feel about the union. Now, everybody knows that that's the kind of intimidation and coercion that people are really worried about, because who has the power at work? It's your boss, it's your supervisor, it's the person who sets the schedule, it's the person who, you know, decides whether or not you're up for that next promotion, that kind of one-on-one intimidation. So it's a total fallacy that right now it's totally secret. You know, who's for the union and who's against the union.
But that supervisor or boss isn't sitting there in the ballot box with you, or in the voting machine with you when you make that choice, are they?
That's true, but they're likely, you're walking past them when you go to have that vote. And the other fallacy about this is that people using majority sign-up does not mean that those names are made public or that those names are shared with the employer. Those names are then shared with the National Labor Relations Board, right, who would be overseeing a process to verify those signatures and to protect people's rights.
Next up is Watson, Louisiana, on our line for Democrats. Good morning.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Well, I think a lot of people don't understand on this secret ballot deal is the people never get to have a secret ballot, even if they wanted to. The employers keep them and string them along, the ones they don't fire. And they just, and the National Labor Relations Board, they'll string it along there until they have no one else wanting to join the union working for them. So if they never do that, get to have a secret ballot. Let them vote at least one time, whether it's secret or not secret.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks a lot.
Go ahead,
I
ma'am.
mean, we literally have cases where workers have been trying to form a union, and because of delays and delays and appeals on the part of the employer to try and keep that process from happening, you know, it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, right? This isn't about, you know, their opposition to this is not about them trying to protect anybody's secret ballot. It's about them they want to make it more difficult for folks to form unions. We think it's your American right to form a union if you want to, and it should be more straightforward. It should be fairer for workers to form unions if they want to.